Hello YouTube. Today I have the most interesting Jhin build that you will see probably this year. It looks absolutely terrible. And the build is Statikk Rapid Fire on Jhin. And it looks terrible because it seems like this build has 0 damage. But what I'm about to show you today will convince you, hopefully, that this build is actually not only legit, but maybe a little bit too strong. So to start off with, the build is basically you go the normal fleet footwork, and you're taking like the normal default runes with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, whatever. Inspiration tree secondary, we don't take sorcery because we want to focus on the early game. So you want to take like biscuits. A lot of the Chinese players are taking Cosmic Insight. Doublelift prefers magical footwear, and I tend to agree. When you build Statikk first, you want to rush the item. You don't want to spend money on boots until later after you have your Statikk Shiv. And then you go Statikk Rapid LDR into like BT Collector, Yontel, that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's the build. All right, and and take barrier or cleanse based on what you need. And so that's basically the build. All right, now why would we ever do this? Okay, so the reasoning, in order to understand the reasoning, we must first understand how Jhin is able to be useful in the first 20 minutes of the game, or I guess, in general, how is Jhin supposed to be useful? So you get stuff done on Jhin through his W and his force shot, right? Through the first early mid-game parts of the game. You W to CC someone to help your team, and you Q force shot to do as much damage as possible, okay? Until you can scale get items to the point where your auto attacks can chunk squishies and your ulti can kill carries, right? So why Statikk Rapid Fire? Well, the pros to Statikk Rapid Fire is that it's insanely cheap. Statikk is what, 2,700? 2,800, and then Rapid Fire is 2,600. Your 1-2 item spikes come instantly. It's really quick. You can get it like 15-20 minutes, 2 items. It's really crazy, and the spike is really strong in the sense that it's immediately effective. Once you build the Statikk, you can instantly clear the wave by killing a minion, then pressing Q to execute Q bounce, execute the range creeps, and then you clear the entire wave at no risk, right? And by being able to clear waves super fast, you can move to the fights super fast, help your team faster without losing any income, golden income. So you can just farm the entire map and go help your team. With your Statikk and Rapid Fire, they both give bonus move speed, actually. And if you're taking the boots inspiration, that also gives you 10 bonus move speed flat, right? Statikk is like 7%, I believe, and then Rapid Fire is also 7%. You're zooming around. This allows you to find better force shots rather than if you were sitting on something like IE and collector components or collector and IE components. Your force shot might do more damage, but it's harder to find a good one. You might be dumping it on enemy frontline support, for example, or enemy frontline jungler, where it does no damage, right? And last but not least, for in the strong pro categories, that you can outplay with the move speed. There's a lot of being able to bait enemy abilities by being within their range and then using your move speed to dodge their abilities. Let's say, for example, you run up to a thresh. He's like, holy shit, Jin's running up to me. He's going to throw a hook. You can dodge it. All of a sudden, you're up a hook in the skirmish or a team fight that's about to break up. So it's actually really, really high skill build. Okay. And then in terms of like arguments against this build, the most natural argument is you do no damage. But I think if you compare the amount of damage you do in a game by building Collector first or IE first, those are kind of like the standard first item Jhin builds. The alternative is Collector first or IE first. You'll notice that low key, you do no damage with that. You know what I'm saying? Like IE first, let's be honest, are you really doing damage? No, you're still pressing W to help the team and then Q4 shot something, except that you just have no move speed and it costs 3,400 gold. And when does this IE item become useful? At 75% crit probably is when you start having, you start seeing benefits from buying IE. You start chunking these carries, these squishies in the backline. 75% crit with IE. right? So yeah, I think once I show you guys some of these clips, and as you can see, Double Lift is I think popularized this, but as you can see, it's catching on in China, or I guess they've known about it for a while. They're all going static rapid fire. Some players in Korea going static rapid fire. Yeah, once you see this, you will start believing. There is a LDR versus IE third topic we must talk about. I initially thought IE third made the most sense, but upon trying both builds, where you go IE third versus LDR third, IE definitely does not do as much damage. I would, just watch this clip here. IE, the benefit of IE is being able to auto attack and have your auto attacks actually do damage. But I think unless you have 75% crit, this is just not true. As you can see in this clip here, I'm just like auto attacking people. It does nothing. And then LDR actually buffs your Q, W, and R damage significantly, and your 4-shot. And it's cheaper. So I think LDR third is definitely the way to go. You should try it in game to see what you guys feel is better, but definitely LDR felt a lot better for me. In the mid game, you can Giga Push and hover sides extremely quickly. All you have to do, the default wave clear pattern, is kill a minion, static proc, hits the range creeps, then you can Q bounce and insta kill all the minions, right? That's basically what you do. And then after you push, of course, we want to hover sides or set up traps around the lane we're pushing in. And then when it comes to fighting, we want to use our move speed to bait abilities, and we want to weave in and out of fights with this move speed, building up a 4-shot, going for a Q4 shot, distracting your opponents, and then obviously finding a W when you see it. Ulti is pretty much the same usage as like normal build. We want to ulti when enemy carries are low and it's unblockable. All right, so now let's move on to the how do we actually play Jhin portion of this guide. Now that you know static rapid fire exists, how do we actually play Jhin? How do we actually play this build? So first, we're just going to go through his abilities, and basically, I'm just going to go through ideal use cases for these abilities in a PvP scenario. And that will give you guys an idea of how to structure your fights so that you can effectively carry with Jhin. So let's start with Q. Tricks you need to know for Q. Okay, so your default is you're going to Q 4-shot for maximum damage, because your 4-shot does damage based on enemy missing HP. Obviously, we need to do as much damage as possible before we 4-shot, and our targeted damage ability is Q. So you want to Q 4-shot when you can, but there are times where you will 4-shot Q because you don't have time to Q 4-shot. Let's say, for example, Lucian is dashing away, and he's CC'd, he's about to be un-CC'd, he's going to dash away. If you don't have time for Q 4-shot and you try to Q 4-shot, your Q will go off, but your 4-shot will not. But if you reverse it, if you 4-shot Q, you can actually get the 4-shot off first, then the Q will follow him after he dashes. So, advanced case, you 4-shot Q if you have no time, but ideally Q 4-shot every time. Lane tricks you can do with Q and 4-shot is you can 4-shot a minion and sprint at the enemy with your surprise move speed and Q poke them. Right, this is especially effective in lanes where the enemy doesn't have any sustain. Let's say they're playing like Lucian Rel or something. Just 4-shot a minion, Q them, and slowly poke them down. You can also Q bounce off range creeps, not to execute, but to also poke as well. But Q bounce execute is, of course, very, very good for poking in lane. Next, let's talk about Jhin's W. Jhin's W is really important to get down because it's pretty much the main way you'll be hoping fights in the early mid game. Okay, the best tip I have for you guys for W is to not randomly W. Okay, you want to W when it's either A, guaranteed with CC combo, or B, pseudo guaranteed. And you might ask, what is a pseudo guarantee? So pseudo guarantee is basically something that's like almost guaranteed but not perfectly. So guaranteed is like you combo it with Leona Q, they literally cannot get out of it. Pseudo guarantee is something like they're running straight at you, right clicking, trying to auto attack. They're running straight away in a straight line. They're next to the wall, they literally can't dodge. Or you're predicting their movement ability, like you're predicting their flash or like a kindred jump or something. Okay, so this is kind of the main case for W. You really do not want to use it outside of this case unless there are exceptions, but they're pretty rare because it's really easy to W and miss. And if you W and miss and your teammate CCs them, then you totally missed out on an opportunity to land your W for free. Other high value uses of W include W to snipe someone at low HP. They're like 1 HP, you guess where they're on fog, you kill them. That's pretty good. And another one is Q bounce into W. You can actually Q bounce off minions into W. You fire the W while the nade is about to hit them midair. But it's pretty hard to do, so I wouldn't worry about this trick too much, but you can try and practice it. It is very rewarding if you hit. And also, you can also W off your traps as well. All right, trap usage, very easy to discuss because there's not too many uses of it. You just place it into spots your enemies want to be. That could be bushes, that could be next to walls. You put it on yourself to kite melee champions. You can place it behind people as they try and run away. It's basically, where does your enemy want to go? You put the trap down. And you can even put the trap down on your teammate CC, like a Morgana bind, and then W them, right, for the extra damage. It's pretty good, right? For ulti, there are some tricks we can do. The most important part about the ulti is that your last shot does the most damage, and it's based on their missing HP, just like your 4th shot. So you can actually target one guy with 3 bullets, and then switch to a different guy with your last bullet, so that you can instantly kill him. Maybe he sees you shooting his teammates, so he doesn't think you're looking at him, and then you hit him with the last shot and kill him, right? Being able to switch targets for your bullets is actually a very, very strong strategy so that your opponents don't know what you're thinking. One trick you should do for ulti is that you should smart cast it, but you should shift normal cast to place it properly. So you want to smart cast ulti because you don't really want a delay when you cast your 4 bullets from your ultimate. You know, if you normal cast, you press R, then you left click. It is a little bit slow, but yeah, it is a little bit slow. But the problem with just only smart casting is that if you just press R when you initially open up the ulti, is a very high chance you will misplace it. You're gonna not get maximum coverage of your ulti. Like if you see some examples I have here, I misplaced the ulti because I just press R. Okay, so what we can do is we can normal cast it, the first part of it, the placing down the ulti, with Shift R to put it exactly where we want it, and then start firing the bullets normally with smart cast. Another small tip you can do with ulti is to make sure you W right before you R. And the reason why is because your W will go on cooldown, and then you pop your ulti, and by the time you're done using your ulti, your W will come back. So you can pretty much have, you can pretty much fire your W for free. You can also R first and W immediately after R, but that's more rare. I don't think you'll see too much of that. So if you put all these PvP tips together, you will be able to structure your skirmishes and team fights properly to get the most value out of your abilities. A fight breaks out. The first thing you look for is W on CC, or hold W for a pseudo guarantee. You're going to dump bullets and look for a Q4 shot, and then you're going to put traps where you think the enemies want to go. And then when enemy carries get low and nobody can block the shots, you pop R. And that's basically the entire Jhin team fighting pattern that you just abuse over and over again. And things slightly change when you get to 4 or 5 items. That's when you don't need a dump for 4 shot, but rather your auto attacks on squishies are almost 4 shots themselves. They do a ton of damage. And your ultis, your low key, you don't even need to wait until carries are low. You just need to wait until nobody can block them. And that's basically the main differences when you have a ton of items versus when you're in the mid game with only 1, 2, 3 items. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this mini guide and this build. I personally think this build is A+ or S tier. Is really, really insane, really effective, and more importantly, high skill. You can bamboozle the enemy by baiting out their skill shots with your move speed. I think that's a highly underrated part of this build because it gives you the most agency when you can instantly clear waves, go help the team, and effectively help the team by baiting out abilities, but also still being able to help with W like normal Jhin builds, and also get into a better position with Q4 shot, whereas other Jhin builds like the collector, i.e. first, you actually have no movement to position yourself to get into a spot where a Q4 shot looks good, right? So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Hopefully you guys learned something, and if you didn't know how to play Jhin before, or if you already knew how to play Jhin, you learned something. If you did, please consider giving me a like, comment, subscribe, haha. But more importantly, check out my Twitch. We are making YouTube videos to promote the stream. Yep. So come watch me at twitch.tv/xFSN Saber. I am streaming my solo queue games. Check out the stream. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.